start streaming. You guys aren't like copying anything on the network, are you? Okay, don't, because we have to stream, so we can do that after stream. All right, we are gonna try to fix an iPhone 7 that's here for no power solution. So we haven't seen a ton of these, so I thought I would take a look at it with you guys on stream. So we are gonna start, this came in as not charging, and I connected it to a USB amp meter, and it said 0, so it's absolutely not charging for sure. So then my next question is it actually turning on? So I'm gonna check with the DC power supply, which you guys might be able to see. I'm not sure, it kind of looks a little sketchy up there, but maybe you can see it a little bit. So we're gonna connect the good old DC power supply here at the battery connector, and then we're gonna prompt it to boot. So right now, DC power supply, for me, it's not stroby, it says 000, so that's correct before prompt to boot. So let's hit the power button, if we can, with some tweezers, and see what happens. And it goes straight to 0.17, so that means it's straight to 170 milliamps, and it's not moving around. So what does that mean? That means that it is some kind of a short circuit somewhere. So something is probably gonna get hot. So we'll use the face detection method to see if we can feel any heat. Paul Daniels says he's got one there. I'm gonna totally please, bro, steal your idea and blindly apply it to the one I've got. Well, we'll see. Does yours perform the same way on DC power supply? All right, so face says I can feel a little bit of heat. Yep, there's a hot spot right there. So there's a hot spot, and it seems to be right around the PMIC. So in order to really isolate where it's getting hot, we are going to put some freeze spray on this board. So you can see the freeze spray right here. It's not hot now, so it's okay. 170 milliamp means throw it in the bin or visit the Genius store. Have you been reading the Apple support community forums? That's what they want you to think. We'll see if it means that or not. Let's see. So I'm going to freeze this board down, and let's look at it under the microscope. So everything is getting nice and frosty. Beautiful wintertime board. And we're expecting from the face method that we're going to have some heat somewhere around the PMIC on this. So I'll connect it back to DC power supply, and I will prompt it again. All right, and it's at that same, now 160 milliamp short, and let's see what's getting hot. Ooh, it is the corner of the PMIC. So I'm going to cut power and do that again. This time I'm going to turn off DC power supply, reconnect it so that I have nothing going through here, and I really want to see exactly what spot is getting hot. So this is my my idea is to find out, to see, can I tell like even which ball under the PMIC is actually the one that's getting hot. So let's see if we can be quick enough to do that. Maybe you guys can see it here. All right, what's getting hot? What's getting hot? All right, we're looking for it. So it's 160 milliamp short right now. What's getting hot? Right there. All right, so I stopped it. Okay, so now we can really drill down and see, all right, the center of the heat was coming from right here, which we'll try to make a little pattern. So it's kind of the bottom of this cap and the bottom of that crystal, maybe even between this component and that one, and a straight line down from the bottom of that crystal. All right, so let's look and see if we can see what line that is. We're not going to just say, oh, it's the PMIC. Got to change the underfilled PMIC. Let's see if we can ask ZXW what is going on over there. So I'm going to go over here, and then I'll take you guys over after I figure out where I am. iPhone 7. All right, so we're gonna find the iPhone 7 PMIC. Oh my goodness, I am sneezing on stream. Okay, so let's take you guys over here to screen. Screen is working, yay! All right, so let's see. All right, so here is the iPhone 7 PMIC, and let's make that as big as we can. And now we're looking to see what line, what are some candidate lines, kind of somewhere around here. So let's see. If we draw a line straight down from this dude, so one of these two rows, and we get to the intersection of these guys, I have a ground ball, and then let's see, what's this one? All right, PP1v1 SDRAM, so that's a possibility. What is this one and this one? Let's find out. PP0v8 AOP, that doesn't sound good because that's going to be the CPU. And this one, PP3v0 Tristar antenna prox, and that was my ground. So let's see. So we've got these three candidates, 1v1 SDRAM, PP0v8 AOP, and PP3v0 Tristar. All right, let's see, is there anything else that seems, maybe it could be down this row. Let's see what this row is. PP1v8 Hawking, and this one that is called Buck9 Feedback. All right, so we're gonna guess that one of these lines is our problem. And the only line that's likely to not be within the CPU, you know, it's unlikely if it's one of these, like a feedback to the PMIC or PPACC. So that's going to be an accessory line that's also going to be a Tristar thing. So that's a Tristar line, and this is a Tristar line. So that, to me, is going to point to a Tristar failure, to kind of rule out a Tristar failure. So what we could do is check those lines to see whether or not we can detect a short. So these go out here to the Tristar chip. And I probed around a little bit earlier, and I did not detect any kind of a short circuit. So we're going to skip that to keep the stream kind of short. So on the basis of the fact that I have some kind of a short, and I don't know where it is, it could be within the PMIC itself, could be damage to this area, but it could also be Tristar because I have two connections in this sort of hot area. These two connections are connections to Tristar. So let's look at this one. This is a power into Tristar, and the other one is a accessory power out of Tristar. Whoops. All right, where did it go? Scrunch down. Accessory power out of Tristar. And the guess that sort of, if you kind of combine with the history of how does a phone get to be like this, this didn't have a drop or anything that would really kind of like point to a you know, a failure of the CPU, which is common, or the SDRAM, which is common in iPhone 7. I think that this damage, the only history they have is that it happened while it was on a charger. So from that, I'm gonna go with, let's see what happens if we change Tristar. So that's gonna be my rationale for thinking that this could be a Tristar fault. All right, so much better on Twitch, says Dr. Teddy. All right, go Tristar. I've been hearing that Tristars are causing issues in the iPhone 7 after impacts. This one didn't have an impact. All right. Let's see. Yo, where can I get that Power Squid? The Power Squid. You can get the Power Squid, which is our DC power supply quick battery connector at iPadRehab.com. You can click. You can see the link below. Everything in our video description and get some stuff. I'm starting practicing on board level repairs. Interested as I have done wiring diag on Ford vehicles, which I really like the challenge. All right, so let's go ahead and see what happens if we change Tristar on this phone. So I don't know, I might have done just one other iPhone 7 Tristar. We're just starting to see them now as they're starting to come off of warranty, which makes sense. So I'm going to check my orientation and see where my dot is. And the dot is in the top corner right here, closest to the NAND. The top side, away from the frame, closest to the NAND, that's where the dot goes. All right, so this one might be a little bit of a challenge to snake out without moving that bracket, but let's give it a shot. Let's give it a shot. So I'm going to protect the NAND with a heatsink. So I'm going to put a big old, oh, look at that, the Sacagawea dollar. Where'd that come from? And let me make sure my board isn't too cold from the freeze spray. I just changed one yesterday, Tristar swapping, no luck. Well, we will see. What made you change Tristar? What were the symptoms? What was the deal there? All right, so we are going to put a little flux on here. Does ZXW have diagnosis ideas? Well, hopefully not. Diagnosis ideas need to come from your brain. Otherwise, it's please bro solutions, not diagnosis ideas. That is what you got to use your brain for. It does have some cool new features in the latest version, though. It has some diode mode measurements that are pretty cool addition. It didn't used to have on some certain spots. All right, let's see if we can snake this out of here without having to bother the bracket. So I don't want to direct my air too close to the NAND, so I'm going to try to stay here on Tristar. See if we can get her off. All right, that came off nice and easy. All right, so now we've got to try to flatten those pads. Where's the best place to buy the dongle? From iPad Rehab Supply Store, of course. Yeah, you should buy from iPad Rehab Supply Store. We do international shipping. And I know we have ZXW, so if they're not listed on our store, send a message to iPad Rehab, because I see 10 of them sitting right over there. All right, let's go ahead and try to clean those pads up with the mini hot tweezers. So all we want to do is just kind of punch these balls down. Flatten these balls. That's what she said. So Mark, you want to get some stream ideas on your bus bullying problem? Mark's getting bullied on the bus.
Sure.
Sure? All right. So Mark, I think, has some excellent bullying advice. Nobody's going to take it, though. I think it's a lot easier to dispense advice when you're not the one having to deal with it. We're going to get here under there and try to flatten those balls by snaking right under that bracket. There we go. What do you do when you're riding the bus? This is middle school years, and a girl comes up to you and says, "That's my seat." Do you move? Or what? So, what was the story, Mark? Mark sounds busy doing repairs because I hear a whole lot of multimeter going on back there.
Yeah, I'm trying to fix something.
Trying to fix something. God damn it, Mark. Such a downer.
I need a drink anyways.
Okay, good.
Yeah, so girl comes up, says, "That's my seat." Pretty much every day, no matter what seat
Okay.
she sits in.
All right. This is girl versus girl,
Yeah.
to be clear. I think that makes a difference.
Yeah, and bully is physically bigger.
How much bigger?
I don't know. I haven't seen her myself, so I'm not sure.
Okay. Never wants to give an opinion without evidence. Mark Schaefer. I couldn't say. I have not witnessed that. I wouldn't want to.
I saw her once, but I didn't have a ruler on me.
All right. What temperature are you using to flatten the balls? The same temperature this station is always set at. One of the students asked me today, like, how do you change the temperature? I don't know. I haven't changed the temperature on any of these stations in years. I guess you could get a card and, you know, try to change it if it was that important to you.
That must have been the one that had it set at 450 Fahrenheit.
What? Somebody changed the temperature? Really? Wow. All right, these students. It was really funny today. One of the students said something like, so how easy is it to knock off these gas gauge filters? And I was like, well, the last class here, I passed around this board and it had all the filters on it. And I started with this guy. And when I got it back around here, it was missing 2. So that's how easy. So let's have you guys pass it around, see if you can bring it back without missing any more. All right, so I love Mark's advice on this bully situation. The girl is coming up and she is saying, that's my seat. And so his suggestion was to get on the bus and write on a little piece of paper, dumb bitch, and then sit on it. Don't say anything. And then when the bully comes up and says, hey, that's my seat, you say, no, it isn't. I don't see your name on it. And then look around and be like, oh, I'm sorry, my bad. It is your seat. I thought that was hilarious. And then get up and leave. But what do you do after that, Mark? I think that's the thing.
Then
What's step 2?
Punch him in the face.
Oh, and then you punch him in the face. All right, that makes sense. Oh, nice. Broke back tweezers. All right, let's get this new chip soldered back on. Ah, don't you go away. Let me. On iPad Pro? Well, what? You're going to actually say yes to taking diode mode readings on an iPad Pro? I'm not happy with how that's over a row, so I'm going to pick this one back off. Not happy with that. Wasn't paying attention. So let's focus and get this on here so we can see what's going on and stop chatting about bullets. Step 2 is jump off the bus. Next stop. That's my stop. All right, let's see. All right, let's make sure these balls are still okay. Yeah, I don't think it actually sat on any of those balls. It was just held on there by flux. Let's peek under there and just check. Nope, balls are still flat, ready to go. So we'll grab another new chip and pay attention. Has anyone figured out the issue with the iPhone 7 home button when changing out the screen? What do you mean? What issue? You have to be more descriptive than that. If you are careful, there's no problem with iPhone 7 home button. So there's not really an issue there. All right, let's see. If you over tighten the screws, then you will take out the turtle chip and you will end up with an iPhone 7 home button that works for Touch ID, fingerprint sensor, but not for home button, and then you need to change out that turtle IC. All right, this needs a little bit more flux, a little bit more juiciness. And this time I'm gonna hold on to it, let's see. Yeah, if you've got a bad screen, your iPhone 7 home button can have a problem. Let's get our heat sink back on the NAND. So there's our heat sink. And this time, let's hang on to this dude for a second so he can't really travel. Just for a second. Just to get him started. Just to keep him from trying to jump to another seat on the bus. This is my anti-Tristar bullying plan right here. Alright, that's good enough for that to be tacked down. And now we want him to really find his own spot. Justifies what? Oh, just now? No, why did you let Christy know that? That's like taking your kid and going, hey kid, would you like to eat sushi? And the kid's like, oh my god, I love sushi. And you're like, stupid.
Yeah, and then you finally got a 203 for Jean and I to share and take them home.
So Jean took home the 203 and the JBC. That is pretty brutal, I have to say. All right, I heard people just opening the phone, then testing home button and it not working. I don't know what you're talking about. Solved the worst board in my pile. There you go, Tim. All right, we're gonna let that cool down for a second and see whether or not that makes any difference on this. Hey, the hand cam is still working. All right, so that's still a little bit too hot to test. How much is the price of that Tristar chip? I don't have any kind of U2 chips around here. This is not the U2 chip. Let's spend a minute going over and seeing what is the name of this chip, shall we? Yes, we shall. Let's do it. Screen vocabulary is really important, I think. So here we go. What is the name of this chip? This chip is the U4001. U4001. 4001, U4001, that's hard to say, so let's just call it Tristar. And we're gonna do that because that's what it's called in the schematic. So we're gonna ditch saying U2 chip because U2 chip doesn't really mean anything. All right, you see my question earlier? No. iPhone 7 Plus something? iPhone boot looping, don't know, sounds like not this phone. All right, don't know. On my stream, I like to talk about the phone that we're working on. So if you have iPhone 7, no power, let's talk about it. Otherwise, post a question on the forum. All right, so let's see if that made any difference on the DC power supply. And if it didn't, I probably will come back to this later because I have to teach again at 8:30 in the morning and it is 11 o'clock at night. All right, so let's see. We're going to connect this to DC power supply. And you can see the DC power supply over here. At least in theory, I guess if you hit pause, you can actually see it. And now let's prompt to boot and see if there's any change. All right, so there is a change. It's different now. So let's look. That looks very promising. What is happening here? Let's see if I can get on those power prongs. I think I'll have to do it under the microscope because it's too dark. Should turn a light on over here, that's for sure. All right, prompt to boot. I'm still not 100% confident in that. Prompting to boot. And it's sticking around at 90 milliamps and then clicking off. 80 milliamps, and then it kind of starts and then it quits. Boo. Boo on that. All right, so it sounds like our short was Tristar related because taking Tristar off and swapping it for a new Tristar has changed the original problem. That looks a little bit more promising. All right, I'm going to go ahead and move it to a dock and prompt to boot by USB. I'm not 100% confident that my connection is good here and that I'm really hitting those power pins. So let's get, since we have a change, let's go ahead and stick a dock on here and see if we see anything. Let's see if we put a screen on, if we can see anything. All right, so let's get a screen connected. All right.
So how should I do that?
All right, so we've got a screen connected. We're gonna put a dock on here. All right, I'm gonna stick with the DC power supply for now, even though I'm not 100% sure that this battery this connector really makes a good connection, but we'll give it a shot. All right, now let's prompt to boot with USB. Gotta plug that in. Plug that in, and let's see if we can make it so that you guys can see this. What if we move this over here? What if we stick this up here? Can you see that at all? A little bit. Move it right there. Stick it in there. Maybe. You can see. Not really. We'll go with that. All right, I'm going to prompt to boot with USB and see what happens. So it's not responding to USB, at least not with this dock. So it says 0, 0 on USB and 0 on my DC power supply. So I'm going to kind of press on the dock and make sure I've got a good connection and press on my battery. And then I see that it's pulling 0, there we go, it's pulling 0.2, pulling a little bit of current out there, and I can see an Apple logo. So now let's see what it does now that I prompted it to boot with USB. That DC power supply seems to be pretty close to normal. That's moving around. And that looks to me, let's move this out of the way so you can see that if you want. That looks to me to be a fairly normal boot sequence. So let's see if it will boot all the way or not. Still seems pretty normal, and I still see an Apple logo here, so that's good. How many chances do you have to repair a wet, damaged phone, tablet on average? One chance to repair, because one person who doesn't know what they're doing can make a phone unrepairable. So if you have data on it, get it to somebody who knows what they're doing. That's the first person who needs to look at the phone. I mean, I'll show you a board. There's a board sitting right here that has a note on it that says, hell no, nope, fuck no. Here, we'll show you what that looks like. Yay! So this phone was able to boot all the way. So that is awesome, and we have touch. So it looks like that fault then, which was, went straight to 170 milliamps on DC power supply, and then our freeze spray kind of pointed to a bunch of stuff that was unlikely CPU power lines that if they are at fault, it'll probably be internal to the CPU. But then it pointed us to Tristar accessory line and the Tristar 3V0 line. Tristar is required for boot, so that's what led us to decide to change Tristar. So it looks like changing Tristar has this phone booting. So I'm going to stick it back in its native housing and see if it can boot with its native port and battery. So that's good on this one. So simple, straight up Tristar. And this is because the history was not drop. There was not a history of drop. This was a history of, I don't know what happened. It was charging and the next morning it didn't work, which also kind of points to Tristar. All right, let's see. All right, somebody said great answer. You know what else is a great answer? You guys won't believe this. Guess what? I answered a question on Apple Support Community Forum about water damage, and they left it up. Yay! And I answered a question that had like a why rice is a bad idea, and they left it up. Yay! They didn't delete it. Great job, Apple Support Community Forum today. And I answered a tongue-in-cheek question pointing to standard ridiculous Apple advice. And guess what? The Apple host marked my answer as Apple recommended. All I said was, check out this list of handy iTunes errors, which of course doesn't help anybody, but still, it's the principle. It's the principle that counts. Mendon iPad Rehab on Apple Support Community Forums has an Apple recommended answer to a question. All right. I wonder if it's some sort of like kind of secret deal where they're like, we will let you post about your rice rant and whatever other stuff you want to whine about, As long as every third time you come over and you parrot the Apple line. Okay. Make a deal. All right, so let's get this back connected into its native housing. Let's see what's what. So I was hoping Stream was going to have some awesome anti-bullying advice. What do you do? I haven't had to deal with any of these bullying questions yet. I asked Lewis. He gave me a horrifying answer that I don't think I can do. All right, what next? Apple will send you flowers. I doubt it, because I also might have talked to some of the, I had a little brief consult with the class action dudes today. I don't think Apple's going to stay happy with me for very long if anything comes of that. But we'll see. All right, so I've got this. Let's see if it charges now. Let's see if it charges now. So I'm going to connect up all these like camera and accessory stuff just to make sure that nothing like that was causing the original problem in the housing. Let's see if it charges now. Let's do. There we go. All right. I think this one is for some important court case, so we'll be glad to see if it comes back. All right, connecting the native battery, native frame, native screen. And where's my USB cable? On the floor. Of course it is. All right, if I purchase the ZXW tool, will there be updates for new phones that come out? Yes. Or is there an online repository? And you know, all you get is a key to somebody else's garage, and in their garage they have a whole bunch of stuff, a whole bunch of schematics and board views and whatever. So as long as that key to their garage works, and as long as their garage stays open, then when you buy ZXW, you have bought a 1-year key to their garage. All right, let's see what happens here. All right, so hopefully you guys can see this. Let's plug it in. All right, what's happening? Yay! Can you see that? It is the low battery. It's charging the battery. Now this battery may be seriously discharged, so it might take a second for it to kick in. And there it is kicking in. So that is pulling normal charging current, which means that it is likely solved. So we've got normal charging current. Before we had zero on that. And we see the low battery icon, so we know that it is actually charging the battery. That's what this number tells us. So the expectation is that this will charge up and it will boot, because we just established that it could boot. So it is time to put that one back together and be done. So let's see. What's that USB ammeter? This is another important tool that you can also buy at iPad Rehab Supply. We sell a bunch of different kinds. The one that I use on YouTube Stream is just a color. I actually don't really like this one, but it's bright enough for YouTube display. Let's see. The one that we sell in the store is has the white display. All right, let's see. Key to the garage. Yeah, exactly. Any cheaper than $79.99? No. That's so funny. All right, everybody's talking about ZXW. All right. Australian possums. Jessa, did you replace the Tristar Chip, or did you just reseed it? You tell me. You tell me. What's the right thing to do? How did the Tristar Chip get damaged? What do you think? Did it get damaged from a drop? Remember, we said there wasn't a drop. Did it get damaged from water? I didn't see any water. How else could Tristar be damaged? In what way? What could make Tristar be damaged? And how would that event influence whether or not it would be appropriate to replace it or to lift it up, reball it, and put it back down? All right, for ZXW, what happens if we have a war, no internet? Then we have done our money. That's exactly right, yes. Why are you just telling him, Paul Daniels? What the heck? Please, bro. Does the supply store ship to Europe? Yes. You can reseat a Tristar. Fuck you, Jordan Wires. You don't ever reseat a Tristar. That's the stupidest thing anyone could ever do. Jordan Wires just said you can reseat a Tristar. Jordan Wires, smack yourself in the face. That's terrible advice. Sorry, I missed, but what was wrong with this and what have you replaced so far? Oh, good. So Jordan Wires has corrected that to can't. Thank you, Jordan Wires. Thank you for that clarification. That very important clarification of the T on the end of can. All right. Hey, Paul Daniels, do you work in iPad rehab? All right. Voltage spike ruins chip. Yes. So what happens if you reseat it? I don't know. All right. Let's see. I don't think I want to stick around to wait for this thing to boot all the way up. Who wants to reassemble an iPhone 7? Crickets? What?
Sure went home.
All right. Damn it. God damn it. I gotta start working on it. All right. He corrected himself. Jordan Wires was falsely accused of saying you can reseat a Tristar.
Good job, Jordan.
Good job, Jordan Wires. I believe you. I think that you corrected that before the stream would have had a chance to have me yell at you. All right. Saying you can reseat a Tristar is saying like you can take a failed kidney out and put it back in and it'll work. Yeah, I've been got some kidney disease. I just got my I just went in for surgery on my kidney. Oh, they replace it or just reseat it?
Hot, bro.
Re-hot kidney, bro. All right. So nobody's got any bullying advice for the bus? Tristars attract stray high-energy neutrinos. That's what causes them to fail. I don't know about that.
They do it especially a lot when you plug them into cheap chargers.
Yes, the neutrinos are attracted in high velocity whenever you go to the gas station and buy a charger. They know. All right. Gotta flush it out with water and put it back in backwards. Yes, exactly. All right. I'd like for this thing to actually boot, but I don't know. All right. I think I will have to do my own reassembly. God damn it. Oh wait, I'll leave that to charge for a second. All right, who is asking about how many chances do you have to repair a water damaged phone? Let's collect that back in and get that thing charging. There we go. All right, let's see what happened on this one. This came to us for data recovery. I don't think I've ever done this before. This board, I am refunding their rush fee. I looked at it for about 10 seconds and I said, absolutely not. I will not spend a second on this. Mark, have you seen this?
I looked at it while you were gone.
Did you?
Yeah.
What'd you think? You want to try it?
I thought that, there were a lot of the PMIC pads were there.
A lot. Wow. A lot of the pads were there. All right, I looked at it starting at the top. All right, let's see. Please update the link for the ZXW tool. All I can find is eBay listings. Go to iPad Rehab Supply. If you don't see ZXW there, send us a message and we will sell you ZXW straight from iPadRehab.com. All right, so let's see. Let's look under the microscope at this board and see which one of you guys wants to take this job from iPad Rehab to you. I will be happy to refer anybody that thinks that they can make this board work again. This is iPhone 5 water damage. Let's take a look. All right, click back over to Microscope. Here we go. And let's take a tour. All right, so up here, okay, the good news is that there's no damage to the digitizer connector. Look at that, beautiful. You're not gonna have to do that one again. Awesome. And let's see what else we have here. Whoops, somebody took a little ding out of the compass IC. That'll put a hurting on your boot sequence. Oh, see a little long screw there in that hole, but it's a 5. It can probably handle that, although I've seen that cause a problem before. You're gonna have to do a little work here on the LCD connector, and it's definitely not gonna have backlight with that filter missing, but you don't really need backlight for data, so don't worry about it. All of this looks pretty good over here. Power button looks good. Somebody's lifted up this dude, I don't know why, so who knows what's up with that. Then let's get over here. Now this is unfortunate because this is the negative boost IC, which is equivalent to chestnut. You're gonna need that. In order to make image, you are gonna need it and all of its missing pads. Hey, my phone turned on, yay! Excellent, so we have fixed that iPhone 7. So you're missing 1, 2, 3, 4 pads that you're going to need. I think you're going to need all of them. You're definitely going to need that one, and that one. I don't know about this one. So you got to do a little pad repair there. That's okay. Get a new negative boost IC in order to have image. Now over here, I'm a little worried about the signs of heat because this is really close to the CPU. That's a little worrisome. Missing a couple of dudes in there you can probably get by. This cap looks pretty bad, and I'm pretty sure you're going to need that cap there for touch. So you're gonna have to go dig up that cap again, but that's all right. Let's keep moving down. Ooh, ouch. Here's your Tristar chip. It looks like somebody tried to re-hot Tristar, bro, because there's no heat over here, there's no heat over there, but there is heat on a heavily underfilled Tristar chip, and we have a solder ball coming out of the CPU. So that might be a little bit of a snag. You're probably going to have to replace the Tristar chip for sure and try not to get any more heat on the CPU because he probably doesn't like that. And you got a really bad looking cap there. So you're going to have to deal with that. But that's all right. Let's just keep going. A little melty here on the sim, but that's all right. This guy's not beat up. That's good. I don't see any solder balls coming out of this chip. So your baseband CPU seems pretty okay. I don't see too much heat down here, so that's pretty good. You're missing a couple of caps there. That's probably not going to bother. You can probably get away with that. Might want to freshen up your battery connector. All right, not so bad. Biggest problem there is the solder ball coming out of the CPU. Let's look at the other side. All right, you got a bad cap there. You got a lot of bad caps. Might have to do a little troubleshooting over here. A little troubleshooting here. Figure out what's missing. Here's your NAND. All right, now, ooh, ouch, oof. Completely missing the power management chip. You're gonna need a power management chip, unfortunately. And that means you're gonna have to put a power management chip back. It's also missing pretty much every single cap, and I am willing to bet that a diode doesn't live there, although I could be wrong on that. That's a weird spot for a diode to be hanging out, but maybe it goes there. What do I know? All right, let's look and see what's going on with your PMIC. Ouch, you're missing an interior pad there that you're probably going to need. These are probably NC, so that's good. That's probably ground. You can probably get by without that. A lot of these are NC. Oh, you're going to need that one. That one's torn. Let's see. Oh, you're going to need this dude. He's torn from the edge. Probably NC, probably NC. Oh, this guy, you're going to need him. Got to get a little micro jumper there. All right, so you've got a lot of pad repair to do here before you get your new PMIC back on. You're probably going to want to put back some of these caps because that's a lot that's gone, and you want to make sure that these dudes are where they're supposed to be. Got a lot of missing a dude here. I don't know what he does. Hopefully he's not a required EEPROM chip or something. This looks a lot like that negative boost IC. I wonder if he's just stashed there for later. Yeah, this looks like somebody's graveyard. I'm going to stick this here for later. I'm going to stick this little resistor here for later. After I get this fixed, I'm going to put them back. So you get some free components with this thing. Couple of bad looking caps. Hey, it's never the coil. Coil looks great. Probably not going to have a problem with that coil or that coil. All right, and then over here, you're all right. You got a little baseband corrosion, but that's pretty much it. So after you rebuild all these pads on the PMIC, then you get to replace Tristar. Then you get to rebuild the negative boost IC. Then you got to put out any other fires caused by shorts. And then you get to see whether or not this is a deal breaker. Whether or not that solder ball squeezed out of the CPU, is that a deal breaker? Why don't you sell him a new board and keep the rush fee? I think that would be incredibly wrong to say, you remember your precious data? We just threw it away, and here's your new iPhone 5 board. No, we're not gonna do that. All right. Tim, are you the same guy that was at iFixit? Yes, TCRS Circuit was the guy doing the MacBook stuff. That looks horrible. What did the guy use? A Wagner? I think he used a magnifying glass and a chisel knife. This looks like a donor board. Yes, it does. Send it back. Yep. The charging sound is me knocking the mouse onto the. I don't think this thing's working anymore. I keep knocking the mouse onto the this charger thing. This guy. So this thing is very easy to. You have to keep it pressed in there. But if you do, it seems to be charging just fine. And let's see. And here's our phone. So it has turned itself on and it is charged up to about 5%. Yep, see how this just came off now? There it goes back on. So we need to get done with stream. And yep, it clicked off again. Come on, stay put. Stop that. Stay put. I don't want to touch it. I want you to charge. All right, so it's charging now. If I can stop touching it, it'll be fine. A lot of things missing. Send it back. The repaired iPhone 7 is working. A lot of messages are coming in. Haha. Yeah, that looks pretty bad. Cold chisel. And that's why you shouldn't use big soldering irons for copper gutters if you're attempting micro soldering. Yes. All right, let's see. Please upload this video. I have to go. Thanks. We're pretty much done. Move the NAND to a new board. You mean the NAND, the CPU, the baseband CPU, the EEPROM? I'm not going to do that under this quote. Nope. I don't think even my donor boards look this bad. I would agree. All right, so this phone is fixed. So we have solved iPhone 7, no power. If you got here late, the fault on this one was that this came in as no power and it had no drop. So that's what makes this different than other iPhone 7 no power issues. So this is no drop. And iPhone 7 also seems to be kind of bendy. So it's not a bend or door slam or a drop. This is an iPhone 7 with a sudden onset, no power, and it did not have water damage. And so when, usually a Tristar failure that makes a phone not boot at all, like this one, will be such that it kind of has a data line communication, draws very low current. But this one wasn't like that. So on the iPhone 7, this one immediately went to 170 milliamps and just stayed there. So that means that something is a short circuit. So then we said, where's the short circuit? We used freeze spray to localize the short to a corner of the PMIC. Rather than saying, well, it's the PMIC, replace PMIC, bro, we tried to use the freeze spray to localize the exact ball under the PMIC. So we looked at the schematic then to say, what are the candidate lines that are kind of in that area? We found two of the lines that are Tristar related. One was power for Tristar, and one was the 3v3 accessory out power that also goes to Tristar, goes through Tristar, and goes out to the power of the accessory. So since there were two Tristar related lines that originate from the PMIC in that area, that really pointed to Tristar in combination with the history of the device, that this was going to be some sort of an internal fault within Tristar that was causing some kind of a short circuit to ground. I did measure the 3v0 Tristar, and I did measure the accessory line, and I compared to diode mode, and I did not find that I could detect a short on those lines. So it may be that the short was within the chip itself and required the phone to be active in order to declare that short. It's not just kind of like sitting around. It's part of internal workings of the chip. So that is kind of what led us to replace Tristar. So we replaced Tristar with a method of simply removing the chip without cutting the bracket. Cutting the bracket is a risk. It's dangerous. It's going to make it kind of not the same as it was. And if you can get by with sneaking the chip up and getting another one on there without having to cut the bracket, then that's a good way to go. So we did it that way, and then we found that we no longer, on DC power supply, we no longer had that 170 milliamp short at prompt to boot. And in fact, it looked like it had a normal boot sequence. So we got away from DC power supply. We put on a dock and put it back in the native housing and tested, can you boot? With DC power, it could. So it could boot all the way. And then we tested, can you charge? And so we checked on our USB ammeter, which you can still almost barely see. I better not touch it. And we can see, it clicked off. It does not like me to pick it up. Come on, mofo. Ooh, act right. Settle down. Start charging. There we go. So this phone is sitting here charging, and it has charged up the battery and turned itself on, and it's continuing to pull normal charging current even as the phone has crept up past that 1% number. So it looks like, yep, this phone is charging, and we're going to put it back together, and that is going to be solved. Once again, my question you didn't read. I read it. I skipped it and ignored it. You're talking about an iPhone 3G. 12 volts at the USB. Shouldn't the MOSFETs have protected it? I don't know, man. That's a whole different charger biology. That's the 30-pin charger that really predates any time that I ever spent thinking about chargers. So who knows? Alrighty. We are going to be done with this stream, and see you next time.